You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, a tough one for the Celtics, and give credit to the Indiana Pacers. They were able to rebound in a big way after losing by 37 to the Celtics Friday night. Pacers never trailed in the second half, and Celtics made them look like a top 4 Eastern Conference team Sunday night at TD Garden in Boston. With that, we welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, former national show host on ESPN Radio and satellite radio, was the last man on the JV Hoops squad for D3 SUNY Brockport for one semester during my college days. You're right where you need to be. You are locked on with the latest Locked On Celtics postcast. We are providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which you know is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. With our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to talk about the Pacers rebounding. And really, from the jump Sunday night, the Celtics had to know, coming onto the floor Sunday night, looking to take 2 in a row from Indiana, the Pacers were going to come out ready to go. Rick Carlisle had them ready to go, just did not work out for the Celtics. Jayson Tatum did not have a great game. Jayson Tatum, again, for the Celtics, did not have a great game overall. Payton Pritchard had a great first half, was almost invisible in the second half. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation, watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button. Join the Celtics conversation. Give us your one random thought on the Celtics loss against the Pacers at TD Garden Sunday night. And the Celtics continuing to struggle right now. They are on the struggle bus. They're on the struggle bus. They've now dropped 4 of 6. You can also hit me up on the X at Lennox on Hoops with questions, comments, or concerns. This episode the Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by, hey, how about your favorite podcast now having a newsletter? One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox every day. Sign up now at LockedOnDaily.com. So the Celtics, again, tough loss against the Pacers. Never led at any point in the second half of the game. Never led. Down by 7 at the half, down by 7 after 3, and the Pacers just taking it to the Celtics overall. Indiana scoring 38 points in the second quarter. Outscored the Celtics 25-23 after they play even in the third quarter. Indiana outscoring the Celtics by 2 in the fourth quarter, and Indiana winning by 9, 123-114. Celtics still have not had a loss on the season where they've lost by double figures, but still a tough loss against Indiana. The Pacers now a game under 500 overall. Entered Sunday number 8 in the Eastern Conference. They're better than an 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're better than playing in the play-in tournament, but the record is what it is. And with that, 2 of their wins now on the season against the Celtics. They take the season series 2-1. Indiana and Boston will not play again during the regular season. That's brutal, considering we have not even hit the new year. We'll do that in the next couple of days. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button. We're going to get to the comments easy here and going on. But we're also going to recap sort of, first half, second half as well. Celtics, again, got to within a couple, but then all of a sudden Indiana turned it on. Tom Lynch, Boston, terrible. 4 of 6. Yeah. And we'll get into Brian Scalabrine, Drew Carter, our broadcaster observations of the game coming up in segment number 2. Numbers of the night coming up in segment number 3. RR do. They are so lazy right now. I don't know if lazy's the word, but I really wanted to see a better effort. After winning by 37 Friday night, hey, I was off Friday night. Saw the box score, saw the social media post, saw the post-game reaction as well to the lopsided win against Indiana. The Pacers Friday night were coming off the night before against Oklahoma City. But the Celtics, they got close in that fourth quarter. Late in the third quarter, Tatum hit a bucket. And I really did think that Tatum was going to get going. Hit a 3 and thought, okay, That made it a 7-point game. Tatum had 12 points in that third quarter. But the Celtics just allowed Indiana to get inside. We'll talk about points in the paint here in a moment. But Indiana in the third quarter, 11 of 21 overall from the field. Rick Carlisle must have just absolutely hit them over the head after Friday's loss. Saturday, tape session, whatever they were doing to get ready for Sunday in a split, looking to garner a split of the two games in Boston. Well, message received by the Pacers players, continuously getting inside. Haliburton had 12 in the third quarter. He had 13 at the half, and Haliburton leading the way. He had 31. All 5 starters, 6 players total for Indiana in double figures. And again, for Tatum, rough first half. A real rough first half. I don't think Tatum hit a field goal in the first half of play. No, he hit one. I'm sorry, 1 of 8. It was a long 2. He had 5 points, 3 from the line in the first half. Was 1 of 8 from the field, 0 of 6 from behind the 3-point line. And I respect Al Horford's game, but Al Horford cannot be going 1 for 10 on the 3-point line for the Celtics. I don't know that he even should be taking 12 total shots for the game. Maybe 5 to 8, maybe 7 to 10 range. But he took 10 3-pointers. Tatum 2 for 10. Horford 1 for 10. Horford doesn't get to the line. Hauser doesn't get to the line. Derek White doesn't get to the line. There's got to be some way the Celtics can, at some point in games, just have that mentality of we're going to get inside. We're going to go to the basket. But overall, Indiana, for the game, shooting well over 50%. They were 46 of 87 from the field, 53%, and understood. Celtics, 54 attempts, even above their season average, and 3-point field goal attempts. Knocked down 16. Indiana, we are what we are. We're going to the basket. We're going to the basket. 23 3-point attempts, knocked down 9. And it was Walker off the bench hitting 3. Walker had 12. He was the 6th player to reach double figures for Indiana. Again, the Pacers are a pain-in-the-neck team. To me, a frustrating team. I got no skin in the game for the Indiana Pacers, but they should be better than what their record is. They really should be. Won 5 in a row, lost to the Thunder, lost to the Celtics back-to-back games, come back Sunday, and show you what they're capable of. Haliburton is a heck of a player. Siakam still has gas in the tank. Turner, Shepard off the bench did a nice job. But the Pacers, again, taking 2 of 3. They're a team right now under 500 with their record. They're under 500. 1 game under 500. But with the win Sunday, they take 2 of 3 from the Celtics during the regular season series. The Celtics, right now, the Knicks are right there. I don't. There are certain things I just don't like about the Knicks, and that's fine. But they're right there as the number 3 seed, and they're just a game behind. Fighting for that 2-3 spot, that's what you're looking at right now, more than the Eastern Conference top seed, because Indiana, Pacers don't want to, Cleveland Cavaliers just don't want to lose. They've now won 6 in a row, 27-4. They're going to go into a funk. But are they going to lose 6 of 7? I don't think it's something like that. It's more where they might lose 3 of 4, 4 of 5, somewhere in that stretch. But the Celtics, you can't lose the Eastern Conference final or the Eastern Conference top seed before the turn of the calendar for a basketball season. But Celtics right now are in a hole when it comes to the top seed in the Eastern Conference. I don't really think it's something that you think about right now, unless you get to within a game or 2. Say 2 games. Right now, it's at 4.5. That's where it's at right now. You've got Toronto coming to town for New Year's Eve. It'll be an afternoon game on Tuesday with the Raptors, who lost 136-107 at home against the Atlanta Hawks. Toronto's already mailed it in, it seems. I was looking at the scoreboard here. Cleveland is off. But with the Celtics right now, the way things are going, there was no point in that second half where you got 2 or 3 stops on the defensive end on consecutive possessions for Indiana. Just did not happen. But in that fourth quarter for the Celtics, it got interesting, right? Pritchard at the start of the fourth quarter, turnover, Mathurin layup, free throw, 103-94. No foul call for Tatum. Pacers the other way with a layup, up 11. Horford knocked down a three. His only one of the game. That made it a 5-point game. Horford started 0 for 8 from behind the three-point line. Most shooters going to try to get something going to the basket. That was a 5-point game. And Horford passing Larry Bird. They made mention of it on the NBC Sports Boston broadcast, now 7th all-time in team history and made threes. Celtics got a stop on the defensive end in the fourth quarter. Horford had the good defense. Tatum, the finish at the rim, hit the free throw. 9-0 run for the Celtics right there, getting to within 2. The crowd was into it. Turning point in the game, 105-103. Haliburton ended that run with a basket. Shepherd, corner 3. Lead back to 7. Tatum a miss on a 3. Shepherd a layup. 7 straight for the Pacers at that point in the fourth quarter to go up 9. Brown with a miss out of the timeout. Got to the left side of the basket in the paint area. Turner then had a dunk. And the lead up to 11. And Indiana just took care of it there. As you could say, could have turned the TV off. Could have walked away. The Pacers take 2 out of 3 from the Celtics on the season. It's interesting. These two teams meet again come the springtime NBA playoffs. We know what the Celtics did to them last spring in the conference finals, but this Indiana team, they're a year older. And some of their guys, some tread on the tires, but their young players can go. Now in a 7-game series, there's going to be, think about it. 2 games in a row in Boston. Indiana responded in a big way for the Pacers. Haliburton and company responding in a big way Sunday night in the victory over the Celtics. Rick Carlisle made adjustments, and a tip of the cap to the Pacers because they made those adjustments. 66 points in the paint for the game. The Celtics had a pretty good number. I think they were just below 50 points in the paint. But Indiana picks up the win against 6 players in double figures. Tatum, Pritchard, we're going to get into their nights. Pritchard had a great first half for the Celtics, but they shut him down. Indiana really shut him down in the second half. We're going to discuss that next. And our Locked On Celtics postcast presented by Rocket RX. If you're ready to boost your confidence and take control in the bedroom, Rocket RX has the solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips. Everything is delivered straight to your door in discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you'll get trusted care from a real U.S. clinical team. Complete a quick 100% online consultation, and you could get a free prescription today. Visit rocketrx.com to get started now. Only takes a couple of minutes. Right now, our listeners get 40% off their first order when you use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's rocketrx.com. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. Terms and conditions do apply. Rocket RX, better sex made simple. So again, tough loss for the Celtics. Indiana never trailed at any point in the second half. Indiana had a 10-point lead in the second quarter. Celtics led by 4 in the second quarter. Celtics had a 2-point advantage in the first quarter, but Indiana got off to a great start to the game, and the Pacers are victorious. Let's get into Jayson Tatum and Payton Pritchard, because Tatum, again, 19-plus minutes, almost 20 minutes on the floor in the first half, just 1 of 8 from the field, 0 of 6 behind the three-point line. And again, was thinking during that first half, get to the basket. Pritchard had a terrific first half. Knocked down 5 threes, was 5 of 6 from behind the three-point arc, 7 of 9 overall. 19 points for Pritchard after he had a terrific game on Friday. But Pritchard just 2 points in the second half against the Pacers. And the Celtics as a team in the second half, shooting 41%, just 6 of 27 on the three-point line. Took 11 free throws in the second half and knocked down 8. Brown, 3 free throws. Tatum, just 1 free throw in the second half. He was 7 of 9 and had 17 of his 22 in the second half. But really, in the end of that third quarter, I thought Tatum was going to take over and have a big fourth quarter. That did not happen. Had just 5 points in that fourth quarter for the Celtics. Brown also had 5 points, and so did Keita off the bench. Now, Keita, I've been clamoring him to play more. Had a couple of buckets and also hit a free throw. But Keita did some things on the floor Sunday night where I said, okay, and I'm going to always trust in Joe Mazzulla and his coaching staff. But Keita was like a couple of times where it's like, okay, back to the bench. Now, Kornet had some hustle plays along the way, but even the bench play. Pritchard scored 21. Keita, I mentioned, was 6. Kornet had 9 rebounds, took just 1 shot attempt, and had 1 free throw from the line. He had 9 rebounds total for the game. But I think you walked away from the game. Walker, Shepard, Bryant had 2 possessions in a row where he had 2 finishes at the rim for Indiana. I think you walk away from the game Sunday night thinking Indiana's bench outperformed the Celtics bench. And that's with Pritchard knocking down 21. But remember, 19 of his 21 coming in the first half. Pritchard did have 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Again, 5 of 8 from behind the three-point line. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the comment button and join the conversation as the Celtics lose at home. Want to tip our cap to our everydayers for making the Locked On Celtics podcast with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast their first listen every day. Celtics, again, dropped 2 of 3 in the season series. Now, also, I think part of Sunday night, and Holiday's missed games, KP's missed games. Holiday was out for the 3rd straight game, right shoulder impingement. Porzingis dealing with a sprained ankle, missing another game. And I thought against Indiana, it was the first, it was really, okay, you're missing those 2 guys, especially the points in the paint. Now, broadcaster observations of the night, Brian Scalabrine brought up the KP effect. No KP, sort of back to that first part of the season, willing to give up points in the paint to the opposition. But Indiana scored at will inside the paint. Again, shooting over 54% for the game. They're one of the top 5 teams in field goal percentage in the NBA. But KP, no Drew Holiday, it really did feel like, okay, tonight you can see where they really play a factor for the Celtics and their success. Now, Hauser is another guy I want to bring up. Hauser, I think, knocked down his first 3 of the game. And Hauser was in the starting lineup. Played 20 minutes, 3 of 6 on the three-point line, 9 points, 3 assists. Also had a steal. And it's good to see Sam Hauser there. But that back issue that he's dealt with over the last couple of weeks, that doesn't just disappear. I was trying to watch him on the floor on some different occasions, moved without the ball, found his spots on the three-point line, active inside the three-point line as well. But this is a game back-to-back against Indiana. No Porzingis, no rim protection, and it can't just be Kristaps Porzingis. Okay, he's back in the lineup. Now we've got our rim protector. No, it's 5. It's got to be locked in, all 5 guys on defense. I will beat that into the ground if I have to. That's an easy one to set up. Right now, that has to be better for the Celtics on the defensive end. You saw that, clear indication of that Sunday against the Pacers. Get to the basket, hoop on the harm, multiple occasions, and they had some tough finishes too. Everything wasn't point blank at the range. They had angles where they went off glass, and they just did, again, there's a formula here. And if you can execute your game plan against the Celtics the way they're currently playing on the defensive end, you can come away with a victory. The Celtics, again, have now dropped 4 of their last 6 games. Tatum, don't know where it was. He had his touches. He had his looks. But again, a tough first half overall for Tatum. And the Celtics, we'll get into numbers of the night coming up in the next segment, but I think 500 now on the season, or maybe game or 2 under 500 when trailing going to the fourth quarter. Remember earlier in the season at Indiana, had to come up big in the fourth quarter to tie it and send it to overtime where they eventually lost. So the Pacers, again, for Indiana, it's the NBA. And I do still question it to this day. How can one team look so bad on one night and against the same opponent just a couple of nights later look like world beaters? Certainly look better than a team right now that is in the play-in. Indiana is in the number 8 spot. They're a game under 500. They've won 6 of 8. But, Rick Carlisle, you saw that ball dome? No wonder he's got no more hair. The team absolutely, first come the gray, then come the hair. No more hair. That's the way it sort of happens. Nature's course, right? Numbers of the night. Not a lot of pretty ones for the Celtics. Again, biggest thing right now for the Celtics, they've dropped 4 of their last 6. They've got one more on this current homestand. We'll touch on that. Look ahead to the new year as well, as the Celtics will be hitting the road, and hopefully the road's not going to be hitting back too much. Celtics lose again at home to the Indiana Pacers. Pacers never trailed in the second half. They played even in the third quarter. 123-114 the final. Celtics on a bucket by Drew Peterson. Drew Carter made mention of it, of the fact that, Celtics lose. But, again, they've not lost by double figures at any point on the season. But 23-9. And looking up, just like the rest of the Eastern Conference, at the Cleveland Cavaliers, who will sit at 27-4. Cavaliers might be the top team in the East come the spring. Numbers of the night mentioned, 2 points, second half for Payton Pritchard. Pritchard, for the 14th time this year, hitting 5 or more threes in a game. 14th time, though, coming in a loss. Mentioned Indiana. 4th in the NBA in field goal percentage. 42% on Friday night. And numbers sometimes average out. 42%, 54%. Season average right around 48.5% on the season. They actually hit less threes in the victory than they did in the loss on Friday when they knocked down 11. So Al Horford, again, passing Larry Bird. His one made 3 in the game, 1 for 10. His 650th with the Celtics organization. And now I believe he's at 430 career games with the Celtics. Larry Bird, 649 threes. They had the entire list, or at least maybe the top 10. Larry Bird at 649 threes during his Celtics career. I really thought that number would have been 1,000, but again, a different era. Didn't put up the threes, the 2, close range, field goal percentage, things like that. Bigger for the Celtics during that Bird era in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s. So Drew Holiday, again, missing a game for the Celtics. And with that, Holiday, I think, has now missed 6 games on the season. Hauser was in the starting lineup for the second time this season. I mentioned he knocked down 3 threes. Looked better. Maybe a little bit more confident. Back issue, confidence perhaps also in there as well. But as a shooter, you've got to break out of those slumps. And now, what's on tap for the Celtics? Hey, you've got a game against Toronto that you absolutely have to win on New Year's Eve. You can't look beyond that. Celtics pushed to the brink against the Raptors earlier in the season back in mid-November. Actually had to win in overtime against Toronto at TD Garden. Tatum in that game, you may remember, dribbling out the clock late at the end of the fourth quarter, missed on a shot, but then he had the game-winning 3 as the seconds were ticking off the clock late in the overtime session, and missed out on a triple-double with, I think, 1 assist in that game as well. And the Celtics had all 5 starters in double figures, 6 total, with Hauser coming off the bench in that victory against Toronto. The Raptors are just a team that just continues to lose. They're now 7-25 on the season, with the loss against Atlanta at home, a lopsided victory for the Hawks over the Raptors Sunday night in Toronto. They've lost 10 in a row. And Thursday against Memphis gave up 155. So I was really hopeful, again, Friday night off with the Locked On Celtics postcast. I was really hopeful to see another strong performance. Hey, were they going to win by 37 or 30 or more over Indiana 2 games in a row? No. But I thought this was going to be a game. And Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine mentioned it on several occasions. It was a good game overall. Celtics got to within 2, but Indiana just made that final run and did not let the Celtics tie it or go in front in that fourth quarter. Just one of those nights where you tip your cap to the opposition, and that was the Pacers on Sunday night. And I say that knowing that the Celtics blew them out of the building. Absolutely blew them out of the building on Friday. But Indiana got off to a great start, opened up with 6 straight points, led by as many as 11 in the first quarter. Again, never trailed at any point in the second half against the Celtics. And the Celtics got to within 2. They had the crowd in it. If they had tied or taken the lead in that fourth quarter, it was one of those games I don't think Indiana would, you're thinking at least Indiana wouldn't have gotten the lead back. The way the Pacers played with poise in the second half could have been back and forth. Maybe we could have seen a couple of lead changes in the fourth quarter. Instead, Indiana showed its resiliency and picked up the victory, 9-point win against the Celtics. Again, with that, they take 2 out of 3 in the series. So the Toronto game and I wondered this before the game even started tonight at TD Garden. I was sort of looking at it. And again, this upcoming road trip, Western Conference opponents to open up the new year with the calendar, 4 straight on the road, Minnesota, Houston, back-to-back next Thursday and Friday, then OKC for the first time, and then out to Denver to take on the Nuggets on January 7th. And then home after that rough stretch for 4 of the next 5 games. But I'm wondering right now, the Celtics, even before the NBA Cup and everything, where they had the 2 games in 11 days, they've been home for a long time. Now, that's great. But I think right now, sometimes a remedy is getting out on the road. Now, that's a rough road trip that I've mentioned, not only right here, but also on other occasions as well. Hey, a reminder, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter and a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free right now at LockedOnDaily.com. Tip of our cap to you with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. And remember, the podcast is free and available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Also want to acknowledge and say thank you to our sponsor as well, Rocket RX. Again, we do thank you for making the Locked On Celtics podcast with John Corrales and the Locked On Celtics postcast your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast and also on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel as well. One more game for the Celtics in 2024, Tuesday, New Year's Eve, before we start celebrating the new year and welcoming in 2025. Celtics Raptors at TD Garden. Not a must win for the Celtics, but you certainly want to feel good about your efforts right now as you go out onto the road for that bear of a road trip that starts in Minneapolis against the Timberwolves on Thursday, January 2nd. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics every day.